Hi everyone, this is Gina O'Connor. I'm representing myself and Andrew Corbett from Babson College, and would like to talk with you about a project that we'd love your help with. The issue is around the concept of breakthrough innovation, which we've studied for many years together with IRI participants. And what we've learned is that when companies are really trying to build these breakthrough innovations, we need a number of tasks, activities, jobs to be done that go beyond R&D to actually help create the new markets and to create the business models and the change in the organization that may be required. And so for breakthrough innovations that fuel the company's future health, what we find is that there aren't many people in the companies today that have those kinds of jobs. If the innovation lines up exactly with the company's current businesses and product lines, then yeah, we know kind of how to handle that, but not for the breakthroughs that can really create whole new platforms of growth and might be quite different from what the company is currently doing, but which really protects the future of the organization. So our objective in this project, and I'll give you a little bit of background, is to use some of the research that we've done together with the IRI and turn it into a tool that will help people assess their fit within a strategic innovation function of companies. So as companies recognize the need to really build out this capability, what we're realizing is that we don't have those kinds of innovation roles actually defined and certainly not populated in most cases or even well understood. And we believe that if we can help by creating this kind of tool, people can assess themselves, but also leaders of strategic innovation functions who really need to help take these breakthroughs all the way to the market and create those portfolios of options for companies can use this tool along with our people to help assess the coverage that they actually have for all the jobs that need to get done to make these breakthroughs come alive. So obviously we know that this is very important because people who are working in R&D can create or find externals for open innovation processes, really great opportunity spaces for the company. But if we can't bring those to life, the company does not benefit. We recognize this by talking about the problem of companies not being able to manage the core or the mainstream organization as it is today, and at the same time create the new streams for the future. That the mindsets and the kinds of activities that are required and the nature of the capabilities of the people that we're deploying on these and the nature of the processes and the context and the culture are all very different when we're working in the new to create the new streams than they are for the mainstream. And what we know from our empirical work is that companies start and stop these initiatives many times, and on an average they last something less than 5 years. Then the portfolio of opportunities is pretty much shut down or spread out to the businesses and starved for resources. And so we don't have the kind of consistency or persistence to build and improve this organizational capability. What we try to do frequently is to apply the traditional new product development stage gate-like processes to creating the new stream. Those processes and tools and people are much more comfortable in a world of higher certainty and traditional project management approaches and metrics than what the new stream actually requires. So we know that we're looking for different kinds of people and different kinds of processes. So the way that we have learned this, Andrew and myself and a team of people, is through a series of studies that we've performed in conjunction with the IRI over the course of many years, about 20 years now, that has produced these 3 books. And I, won't go into a lot of background about those, but we've studied a whole number of companies. These are some of the companies over time, it's been more than 600 interviews that we've collected with something close to 40 companies over time, where we've really tried to learn how breakthrough innovation does happen, what some of the most exciting practices are in companies, but primarily, how can we build this as a capability so that it has staying power within our organization? We've migrated from the world only of breakthrough innovation to this concept of strategic innovation, where it's not just the highest uncertainty opportunities, but even in the evolutionary and adjacent innovation space where there's moderate degrees of uncertainty, the mainstream organization tends to reject those kinds of projects by running them through the traditional metrics in order to approve a project. That means you've got to already know what the net present value might be with some degree of certainty, who your customer target is, what the technological solution would be to the well-known problem. And in many cases, the path to the future will require a more disruptive kind of an innovation where much of that is an unknown and requires much more exploration. So all of that together is what we are calling strategic innovation. What we've learned is that in order to really pull these forward, we need to develop these organizational capabilities of discovery and incubation and acceleration, and have a portfolio of opportunities operating all within this kind of system. That each of these, discovery and incubation and acceleration, requires a particular set of skills and has a particular set of outcomes. So it's not just one capability in breakthrough innovation or in strategic innovation, but it really kind of breaks down to these kinds of competencies. And we've seen in our research that people tend to, who are oriented towards more strategic innovation, tend to fall into these different buckets as well. You also might notice that discovery and incubation and acceleration combines together to form an entire innovation system. And so we've got to also have some leadership in there that is attending to the portfolio of strategic innovation opportunities. It's diversity, the portfolio pacing, how do you populate the project teams, what should be the connection to the right points of within the divisions and the business units, what should be the transition from discovery to incubation to acceleration of any single opportunity space. So there's a lot of leadership requirements also for ensuring that this strategic innovation function exists and is healthy and is contributing eventually to the bottom line of the company. So the academic world has called this structural ambidexterity, where we say, yeah, we've got the mainstream organization over here on the right side of the slide, where we have our strategic business units that are operating with our current customers and bringing in the bottom line profit. But we also need to have an organization that is creating the new streams of the future, and that's where the discovery and incubation and eventually the acceleration activity occurs. On the left side of the slide, what we see is that that means that there actually is a separate part of the organization, an innovation function, and that the roles are clearly defined within that function, and that the skill sets are fairly specialized. And so these are the kinds of people who are taking the opportunities and vetting them and enlarging the scope of the opportunities, and then conducting those kinds of business model experiments and developing a strategy for how these new businesses could really play out for our company. As we interviewed a number of our people in the third phase of our research, focused specifically on role-related challenges, we identified a lot of problem areas for those people that were really trying to partner with R&D to bring these potential new businesses to life. And this is a long list, and we could talk about it for a long time, but just so that you are aware, there are a variety of career challenging experiences that these people have reported to us, most of which revolves around the fact that the roles and the responsibilities and how you measure these people's performance are not very well defined, and they're not clearly defined. So then we don't know how to select them. We do not know how to develop these people and keep them with our company. And in fact, we find a fairly large turnover among these people. They leave their organizations. And we don't know how to, we have not yet institutionalized these roles so that they're not on any organization chart. If a person who's volunteered in and done this work moves on, it's not like we backfill that role. So what Andrew and I are trying to do here is to help begin to formalize these roles so that the good work that gets done in R&D and in open innovation and all the kinds of partnerships that you're engaged with can actually come to fruition in the company. This is the basic framework that we've identified in terms of the roles, and each of them has a lot of definition behind it, and we understand a lot more now through our research about how what we'd be looking for in terms of the kinds of people in these roles. But what we are trying to do now is take, and this is all described in detail in our third book, the Beyond the Champion book. So I will not go into them here, but what we're trying to do is develop now a tool that is a series of questions that allows a person to respond to those questions and therefore find the best fit of that individual with any one of these roles, both in terms of what they're currently doing, what they believe they're able to do, and then what they would like to be doing so that we can get a sense of their motivations and their career path. We realize that not every company is going to start with all of these varied roles as they build out their strategic innovation function. And so, you know, we have to fit the context of all of these roles to where the company is. And so there are ways of limiting the number of roles and initially starting out in a smaller way. So one of these is to kind of squish the hierarchy of this. And the second is to cause the discovery and incubation functions to sort of be covered by the same people. So we call that dincubation. It's kind of just a funny word that we sort of made up. But that kind of helps us align this with a company's ability to get started in strategic innovation. So far we have created this tool, this instrument. We figured out kind of the wording of the descriptions. We've figured out the kinds of ways we want people to respond to it. It's a self-scoring instrument right now. We have been testing it among our working professionals classes at Babson so that we understand that the questions are clear, and we've gotten some first data on the kinds of insights that this can provide. And so what we're looking for in this project is members of the IRI who can recruit company representatives who might lead an innovation group, and maybe some of it is you, particularly if you're in new business development and you partner with R&D, or you have the mandate for creating the more breakthrough kinds of businesses. And what we'd like to do is to work with that person to have their group members complete this tool and then complete a form in which they're providing us with insights, self-reflection about what they learned about themselves as they did the tool. And then also have the innovation group leader identify or provide us with a role description of what each of their team members does, so that we can understand what that role is and how it conforms or is different from the way we've described the roles. And all of that would, of course, remain anonymous. And what we expect is that this is going to help us gain more confidence in the insights that the tool can provide, that it would accurately measure a person's fit with the various innovation roles that we have seen tend to be most successful in bringing breakthroughs to the market, and that the tool will actually align with the evaluators' expectations of the responsibilities in that role. We just want to make sure that the tool is accurately capturing what these people are doing, and that it reflects those any gaps in the job that are occurring, not because of the person's performance, but because of the nature of the role itself in the company. And then we want to learn more about the tool's value proposition through your use of it. And so we're finding that people are learning much more about themselves, about their current capabilities, but also about their aspirations. And that it helps people begin to plan for their own career path. But it's also helping innovation group leaders assess the coverage that they've got of handling discovery and incubation and acceleration. And so if we can gain more confidence through actual use in the companies and having conversations then with you as you go through and use the tool with your groups, that would really be of great help. And this all lines up with the IRI's kind of track career development platform that they've been, that the IRI has been trying to evolve, which is also on the basis of our work. So we would love to talk with you, any of you who are interested in participating. Happy to answer any questions. This is, my email here, and Andrew's as well. Please reach out to us if you're interested, or talk with Lee, and we'd be happy to have a phone call and get started. Appreciate your help very much with this.